What is up, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're getting into Robert's Visual K playlist for Patreon. It is Creature. It's all about them today. They are a Visual K band from Japan. They were formed in 2005. And unfortunately, it seems like they just went on hiatus back in 2018. Got 7 tracks on tap today. Robert said he was a little careful to make sure there wasn't anything that I'd have to put up on BitChute. But if it does have to go up there, it does have to. But I'm looking forward to it. I think I've only done a track or two from these guys. I don't have lyrics for these, unfortunately. So if somebody out there knows where I can find translated lyrics for these guys, I'd be appreciative. Unfortunately, Robert was not able to find them. So we're going off of vocals and music today as opposed to focusing on the lyrics as well. Either way, I'm looking forward to it. The band is Creature. The first track is Death is a Flower. And here we go. I like the riff already. Dark. Like that drum pattern and the other riff. It almost reminds me of something I might hear from the 90s. Kind of grungy. Like the combination of that snare and hi-hat usage. Big fluttery vibrato. Like that cool feedback tone there. Wow, this guy's got a fantastic voice. The control he's got of being able to sit up there in his falsetto and use that vibrato is really impressive. I like that low register coming in the backing vocals. I like that bass drop there. That spoken word really works with the mood I feel like they're trying to impart. That's really cool. That's almost something I expect to hear from Faith No More or Mr. Bungle. Really like the violin usage there. Really cool elements here. Different tones and textures. Really playing with your emotions. Has clean tones, really interesting tone to them. A touch of reverb on there. I like the way these guitars are accenting what's going on. The bass is really playing a prominent role here, driving the tune and affecting the way I'm feeling the passage. Wish those vocals sat a little more forward, but I really like his tone. This guy's really multifaceted with his cleans. I like that double vocal. Really cool layering there, and it plays well with the main vocal. really leans on his vibrato, but it's so strong. They go for, like how they go from those major to those minor keys and make you feel different emotions because of it. This really does have a big 90s alt-rock feeling to it. Lots of different string textures and string noise by the guitars. It really shifts that mood to the listener once again. Good way to finish this track out with these big drum rolls and last song kind of feel to it. Bass player's playing some arpeggios there. That's really slick. I like the violin over top there. Very creepy. Good feeling of chaos there. Alright, that was Creature Creature. That was definitely some flowers here. And I really like it. It's a good way to start things out. It's dark, it's moody. There's tons of different textures. There's some really slick riffing going on. His vocals are so impressive. He's got such a very unique voice and tone, and I really love what he's able to do, rolling through his chest voice, fluttering almost effortlessly through those falsettos. I'd love to hear these guys live to see if he's capable of doing that in a live setting, but he just seems like he's got so much control of his instrument, and he really understands it to make his voice do what he wants it to do for the track. You definitely get a lot of artistry in how he's making his voice fit with the music. Really dug it. Very progressive in some ways. The bass player has a big role in some of those passages of really providing warmth to add contrast to the darker guitar tones and textures. The drummer's really spot on. He's got a lot of fills. He doesn't stay too long in a style of beat. And his fills they're very classy. You know, they're not overplayed at all, but they really do serve a great purpose of breaking up these passages and moving things along. Very, very well executed. Love the violin. I'm always a fan when people add violin in tastefully into rock and metal, and they did it so well. And it does add another feeling, another depth and layer of emotion dynamics to the music. Great stuff. Next track is called Cluster. Another really cool combination between these palm mutes and these droning, ringing chords. Also like the slight change of that tempo for a second. Snare. Did not expect that to shift like that. Goes from grungy to almost 80s progressive. Really cool, clean tones with a bit of reverb and delay on them, and those electric guitar tones. All right, Cool. Almost like an 80s pop track. One of those riffs that it makes me want to go pick up an instrument and try to play it. It's just such a fun riff with some really cool little parts to it. Love the effects on that, on those electric tones. And I love it when he goes down into that low vibrato and plays with it a little. Love depth to his voice. His vocal melody is so singable, and I don't know the language. Outstanding main riff here for that solo. Really gives the guitar player a lot of room, and he unleashes a solo that I might expect from somebody like Joe Satriani. Or maybe, you know, it reminds me a bit of Living Colour in a way. I think that's what I was getting. Such tasty riffage. I like the aggressive there. I like the solo over it. Really killer drum fills here, almost jazzy in a way. Vocally here, it almost reminds me of something I might expect from Ko from Durham Gray. I like those cool keyboard tones back there here. And just in love with the vocal tones he's using. There's so much attitude here. This riff is familiar, I just can't place it. That was so much fun. That was awesome. That was Cluster. And I can truly see why they named it Cluster. Because there's a lot of different elements that are jammed together to make that track work. A lot of different influences. The 90s alt rock, the 80s progressive metal. Get some bits of stuff like Living Colour in there. The different effects, Latin, clean tones. Those really cool, dry 90s like alt rock tones. There's some really killer riffs. That main riff is so slick. It does a great job of combining those palm mutes and some open stuff. It's got such a killer groove to it. It's just something it just made me want to move. Made me want to bang my head. Made me want to hum along. The vocal melodies are so infectious. They're so easy. I mean, the vocals aren't easy, but the vocal melodies are really easy to lock into. Really killer solos. Really did get a very Satriani-like vibe to it. Maybe even a Living Colour-like vibe to it. Really dug it. What great stuff. Great choice, man. Great choice. The next track is got a very interesting title. Excuse me. It's called Phallus Phaser. And here we go. Ooh, almost a Dream Theater like riff there. Bass is really thick and crushy here. Really tight, math-like riffing. Tracks definitely mixed a bit hotter than the earlier tracks. I like those keyboard textures, sound like the organs. I like how they chose to go aggressive here. I like the way they're using those key accents. They do seem like they do focus a lot on moods and different textures or emotion. I feel like Japanese bands are really good at doing that. Wow, that was a slick change. Wow, what a voice. I haven't heard this part of his range yet. Love that head voice that he's got. Almost reminds me of that traditional Japanese male vocal style, just manipulated into a metal context. These seamless transitions and that massive prog-like feeling here is really killer to listen to. Definitely has a John Petrucci-like guitar tone here. Love that clean. Really sounds like he's using that piezo-like system for these cleans. Love the clarity and richness of that lead tone. Really does remind me of John Petrucci. This whole passage does. The whole track does, to be honest, remind me of Dream Theater. And I'm not complaining. Lots of tremolo work there. Really killer change. Fantastic build. They do such a great job of coming in with that transitional riff, that bridge, and then coming into this fantastic passage here. Really killer guitar language, a couple of different pieces of counterpoint going on. Nice bit of layering. Love how he started that fill and he took it faster and quickened it up. I like it when bands use passages that aren't in standard 4/4. It's really nice. Their drummer's penchant for fills is so enjoyable to listen to. That was awesome. So good. That was Phallus Phaser. And there's an absolutely massive Dream Theater influence on that track. Tonally, as far as the guitars go, some of those key tones, riffing, some of the bridge sections they use, or the interlude sections they use. Man, what a smoking track. It's got some really fantastic, juicy riffs throughout it. You have these utterly fantastic virtuoso level vocals on display. Tons of different parts of his voice. That clean passage they come into off that very Dream Theater like run, that interlude or bridge, if you want, whatever you want to call it, into that slower, clean passage is just gorgeous. Really utilizes that chest voice, or that head voice of his, I'm sorry, and uses that head voice, really flutters through that vibrato. Like, it's just effortless, and it probably is. He's able to do it with a lot of power, and the fact that they've allowed it to be so clear in the mix means that he really is able to execute that very powerfully. Really, really strong, dynamic voice that this guy's got, and it really helps drive the track. Love all the different elements to it. Really did feel like I was listening to Dream Creature in a way. But I can't complain because it was just so good and so tasty. Highly enjoyable. And the more I listen to the drummer, man, he really, really, really good. And he's very dynamic. And he's clearly got some training, because he's able to shift in and out of hard rock and metal-like drumming and into the jazz, funk-based influences, and he does it so easily. Outstanding. Love that. Another great track here. The next one is Golden Game. Kind of a big swagger to this riff. Riffs really, really enjoyable. Love how rich these tones are. I love the swagger. I like how they utilize the very hollow sounding drum sound here. I like the grit he's able to get in some of these passages on his, even in his vibrato. Very cool. Back into these really beautiful clean tones. Yes! Like the way he went into that. Opens with a couple of sweeps. Big bends. I like how it's a couple of notes and he slides and he's just walking down these licks. Outstanding. Bit of slap it on the whammy bar there. The guitar player's got a ridiculous amount of chops and skill here. Usage of pull-offs, really playing on those strings, combining it with tremolo work. Drummers just going to town back there. I like the doubling into that harmony there. Bit of ride cymbal work coming into there. That was wicked. That was so good. It moves so fast. It just comes through. It's got a swagger to it. It's got movement. It's got a great main riff where the guitar and the bass player are really locking in together, just following the vocals, that little bit of grit that he's able to put on his vibrato. I would love to be able to just slap down that break, that grit, and still be able to flutter the way he does with his vibrato. That's so impressive. And it's so not easy. It's a really difficult thing to do if you're just not born with it. But he does it so well. You know, the more I've listened to Japanese singers over the past 15, 16 months, 15 months? 14 months. Really didn't start doing VK until mid-December of 2017. But really noticed that a lot of them do use a lot of vibrato. I don't know what it's from. And it seems like some of the trap passage in Phallus Phaser, the last track, that he's almost got some of the Japanese male vocal training from some of that traditional stuff, because he's able to get into some of those parts as well. And it really shines in the rest of his voice. The solo section in this last track was wicked. Man, that guitar player is full of talent. Killer chops. Really technical. Clearly has a bit of a grasp of theory. The runs that he was doing, the way he's using some of the string skipping, and the way he's using those couple of notes in a slide to just move him down to his targets. Really, really slick. His arpeggios that he did use were really cleanly played, which in an age where guitar players are using a lot of arpeggios and sweeps that don't sound clean, this guy executes it really well. There wasn't a single note that I felt was out of place. And the whole solo had a bunch of attitude. The bass work under it was awesome. The constant fills and accents from the drummer throughout the entirety of that was also really, really well done. They clearly wanted to let it go, and they did it in such a great way. Absolutely dug that section. The clean passages here, again, are absolutely fantastic. Another really killer track. The next track is Ai Toshi no Yugo Giju. I probably completely screwed that up. And for all of you Japanese speakers, once again, I'm very sorry. Let's get into it. Cool subdued palm mutes by the riffing here. like the spoken word. I like how clear it is. Wasn't expecting that. Getting a bit of that co-like influence vocal here. I like that riff, or that bass line. Really interesting. I'd really have to hear or be able to read the lyrics here to understand why he made the choice to give spoken word here. I like the different aggressive vocal layers and choices. I like that tight riffing there. That's a cool change. Really interesting choices vocally. I feel like the lyrics have a lot to do with what he's doing, and I really want to understand them. Wow. This guy's voice just does not cease to amaze me. I like that riff. The bass and drum interplay here is fantastic. Really nuanced stuff going on, really cool fills. Really like those delay and reverb Latin clean textures, the guitars. Didn't expect it to come blasted in like that. Really jarring, but it works. Really love how he's holding those notes out, tossing a bit of a vibrato and a bit of whammy work in there. Ooh. Track just evolved all the way through it. Really did. And really impressive. A lot going on. It feels like it's very lyric driven. So I really have to find a link to the lyrics to really understand why they made some of the musical choices they made. It starts out one way, it finishes another. Really cool things going on. Really different ways to accent and make you feel dark and really add some of that discomfort and the anger and all the different emotions they managed to wrap up in those riffs. Really, really, really cool. Lots of stuff going on there. That's a really good choice, man. So once again, Robert, you always have a really good idea. I know you agonize over your lists, but you do a great job of combining your tracks to tell a story, and I really like it. Next one is called Gone by Rain. This almost feels more like classic VK from what I'm used to so far. Sparkly, Strat-like cleans, really subdued lead. Wow, the riff almost has an Evergrey-like feel. Really like the way they changed. Like how simple the riff is. Like the snap and the attack they use for the snare here. Some of that punk feeling going through. Where some bands would go more pop punky, they stick with a bit more of that metallic riffing, and I like that difference. Really subtle and easygoing solo. They clearly tone the leads down based off each track, and I like that. I like the different ways he continues to use his voice here. Great way to come back into this, to use the spoken word. Really subtle leads again. I like those harmonics that he chose to lead in there, just quicker passages with. Really tell that he's influenced by 80s players. Just get a little bit of Eddie in there, along with the sats and a little bit of the vi. I like how that guitar accent is just barely audible. Tell the track's starting to wrap up with the way their drummer is starting to throw his fills in. Shifted into that slight snare almost like blast. Yep, there we go. Slight little outro lead there, and that is Gone by Rain. Awesome. You know, more of a typical VK track. It's the first one from them I feel like I've heard in this playlist that really does have that VK sound that I'm used to from the more old school VK bands. And really like it. Really enjoy it. I like how when they do go more punky, it's punk-like or pop-punk-like. It still has a bit more of that 80s metal feel and flair. It's really interesting to know that these guys started out in 2005 because they have a very retro, very throwback sound to them, and I really, really, really enjoy what I'm hearing. Really subdued, reserved leads until that solo where he steps out and lets go. He's got such a great feel for how he enters and exits. Those little harmonics that he used to set up to go into the quicker passage really built his solo so well and allowed himself that room to start pulling out those fast licks. Just a really tasty, really skilled lead player that understands where he wants to go on the fretboard and how to get there, and to do it in a very flashy, awesome way that's just so enjoyable to listen to. Could listen to that guy play for hours. And their drummer is just, I love busy drummers. You know, I've said that many times in my videos. I love busy drummers. I love drummers that are constantly breaking things up, that are throwing out different fills and accents and rolls and really putting a stamp on it. And this drummer is so good. There's not a bad member of this band, and it's really shown throughout these tracks. The last track in the playlist here is called Andromeda, and this playlist has moved a whole lot faster than I thought it would. Here we go. Cool. Really tell that this record was mixed hotter, mixed a bit more forward than the other stuff. Really dramatic the way he's using that lower register. Wondered if they were going to kick back into pick up. Get a bit more of that Dream Theater feel in these riffs. I love the way he uses vibrato transition into this chorus, or this pre-chorus might be. Wondered if he was going to go up there. I like how they brought the orchestration in. That's a good touch for a track like this. I like that straight snare fill that he used back there on the drums. Got that very spanky quack to the accent. There's a couple of cool little note choices he's using. Right there. A couple of little slides. Like that big cymbal fill. Walk through that opening lick so beautifully. Clarity of the lead tones here in this record is just awesome. I like that slide there with the usage of the reverb and the touch of delay. Great fill. Nice little bit of nuance and flair to it. Nice little roll across the toms there. It's just the usage, the differing vocal textures, and the English little parts here. The fact that the male vocal is really impressive. I like how the bass line slowly changed. Get a nice bit of that pick attack there. It's a good choice to let this one fade out. It's a great passage to do it with. It's really catchy. It's very pleasant, very pretty. It's very catchy. And they're just going to let that roll off. And that is going to finish us out today, ladies and gentlemen. That was Andromeda by Creature. That was fantastic. Really great way to end that. Really like the choice. I like every song that was on the playlist. Had a lot more of what I slowly became familiar with throughout the playlist. That record really seems like it's a progressive record. You get a lot of those progressive elements and just so enjoyable to listen to. I don't understand why these guys aren't bigger. I'm not sure why they didn't manage to grasp the fan base, some of their VK band. It's just so enjoyable. It's really, really, really good. And just absolutely in love with the band. I love their songwriting. I love their choices. I love just how good their lead player is. Or probably, I'm not sure if the two guitar players are one. I did look. Couldn't find a lot of information on these guys, to be quite honest. So that was kind of unfortunate. But Kirk, let me know the composition of the band. Let me know how many guitar players there are down in the comments. Really just enjoyable stuff. Top-notch musicianship. Really strong songwriting. Their vocalist he's a gem, man. He really is. You don't find vocalists that are that multifaceted and that diverse and talented very often. Just love everything that I heard. I would have liked the tracks that were not the ones with that flowery album cover there. I would have liked those to be a little bit hotter, the overall mix volume to be a little bit louder. But I'm not sure if that is a record issue or if that is an upload issue. It could be one or the other, or a combination of both. But highly, highly enjoyed it. And it's a great choice, brother. Thank you so much for bringing me back into VK and sharing this with me. Be really curious to know how you found out about these guys. They're just a stellar band. It's unfortunate they did go on hiatus. Hopefully they will work things out and they will continue to be a band at some point. Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully we can get some links to some translations. I do truly appreciate it if somebody can find them, because I did not have a whole lot of luck. But thank you once again, Robert. Thank you for all the support, man. Thank you for the friendship, as well as the support on Patreon, the support as a long-time subscriber here on the channel, well over a year now. And you keep me on my toes. You've shown me a lot of music that has really become daily listens or weekly listens for me. And I'm going to have to look into some records. I'll probably have to get that record sitting up there in the top left-hand corner up here. I have to see if I can't find that, because that was a killer listen. Thank you. I love you guys. Thank you to my law enforcement, military veterans, and first responders, which you do every single day. As always, you have been awesome. I have been Baldman. See you in the next one. Be excellent to each other. Keep it banging.